Welcome back to another episode of BGTV with me, Bobby Glassick. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about supplies that you need to create jewelry. So the very first thing you see here is my bead mat. This is just a thin piece of, foamy material. It's kind of squishy, if you can see that. And this is great to do bead projects on because when you pour out some beads, they don't jump all around the place. Okay, so there you go. I just dumped out some beads, and I'm going to share another tip with you. So I have this little antique kind of old-fashioned baby spoon. It's just a little metal, nothing fancy. And this is really good for scooping up beads. And this little plastic container is a disposable shot glass. And I use tons and tons of these. If you could see the rest of my desk, you would see them all over. Luckily, you can't see my whole desk because it's a disaster. So I just kind of slide this spoon underneath the beads and they just pop on there really easy. And there's a little piece of the material that comes with the beads. They're strung on, I don't know, kind of, to me it looks like fishing line or something. So I don't want that back in there. So I scoop those up and then I keep these sitting out when I'm doing a project, or sometimes when I'm designing things. I want just a little bit of several different things. So here, I'll show you what I've got these different clear things sitting out that I was playing with, and I just I'm lazy and I haven't put them away yet, so they're just sitting out. But that is an example of how this bead mat works, and it's really nice because the beads don't go everywhere all over your table. I'll give you an example. I should have shown you this. Okay, so now I'm going to pour the beads out. This is, see how they jump around on my work surface. So a bead mat is a great way to keep your beads in place. Now, if you don't have one of these and you don't want to buy one, you can use a washcloth or a placemat or just something else down that's going to kind of keep those beads from rolling all around on your surface. All right. So other supplies that you're going to want to have include some metal. They're called findings, or I just say supplies. So we'll start with jump rings. That's one of the most popular things in jewelry making, is a jump ring. And if you have any jewelry at all in your possession, you've probably seen these little circles and you just didn't know what they were called. When I first started doing jewelry, I called them circles because I didn't know what they were called either. So these are jump rings. If you hear me clearing my throat in the background, we went to some parades yesterday. It's Mardi Gras season yesterday. I screamed my lungs out trying to get attention so I could get some beads. And you do not earn your beads the way everyone says you do. So I just want to make that clear about myself. So here I just laid out some jump rings. So these are, oh gosh, these aren't even actually really jump rings. These are split rings. And I didn't mean to lay these out. But these are more like gosh, yeah, that's hard to even see that. These are like key rings. And it's called a split ring. All right, so we're going to take those off. But they do come in different metals. So these are copper. These are a real shiny gold. I don't know if you can, on the camera, if you can really see the difference between those, but this one is different than these two. And then they also come in silver. And you can get them in other metals too. There's something called gunmetal, which is a very dark, there's an example. This is a different thing. This is a head pin, but gunmetal is a dark metal. It was popular a few years ago, and I have a lot of it laying around. It's good for doing men's jewelry too. So I digress. Back to the jump rings. All right, so these are fairly large jump rings, and I chose to use the larger jump rings because they are easier to see me manipulate them on camera or even in person. So to open a jump ring, I really use two tools, okay? Two tools. So I'll take one in my right hand, and I'll take another tool in my left hand. So assuming you're using just the basic tools, okay, you're going to take these two and you're going to lay it beside, there's a little, let me get my, and again on camera you might not be able to see, but there's a little seam that I can see right there where this is split. So I'm going to twist that open. Did you see that? And then you also twist to close it. When I first started doing jewelry, I didn't know this, and so what I would do is I would open the ring like this, okay, and then I would try to close it back up, and then I would get this really deformed looking jump ring, and I couldn't figure out how to get them to close nice and straight and tight. And I really struggled with jump rings in the beginning. And then a good friend told me, that's not how you do it. Okay, so I'm going to try and fix this one. Maybe I can. Yeah, not so good. Okay, so when you pull it, let me demonstrate it with my fingers. So pretend this is a jump ring, okay? And when you pull it this way, you misshapen that circle, and then when you try to put it back together, it never quite closes correctly, okay? So what you want to do is, here's your circle again, and you want to turn it so that you're creating an opening. Let me try this on camera. There we go. Okay? So you're going to twist it, and then you're going to twist it back. So let me demonstrate that again. So here I'm taking one side and the other side, and I'm twisting it open. All right? And then when I want to close it, I just twist it back. And sometimes you have to work that metal a little bit. And sometimes these skinny round nose pliers, I struggle to get those to work the way I like. And so I will use my tweezers. And I had them out a little while ago. So here's my basic Mary Kay tweezers. Okay? And I will take this and I will slide it up inside that way. And that gives me a much firmer grip. And then I can wiggle that until they line up correctly. And I gotta put my glasses on to see how I did. Okay. And now I can see I've got a tiny bit of a gap left. So again, I'm just wiggling that until I see that gap completely closed. All right. On camera, I don't know if you can see it, but the other thing you can do is try and stick your fingernail in there, and yeah, can you see that gap? It's sticking to my fingernail. All right, so I still didn't quite get it all the way closed. So I'm going to try that again. And you should kind of feel the metal. There we go, got it closed. So you're going to feel that metal up at the top kind of rubbing against each other. So you're going to wait until you can feel that friction between those two sides. As long as it's not lined up correctly, okay, they're going to be missing each other, and you're not going to feel that. You'll just feel zero resistance. So you want to feel some resistance on that, okay? All right, so that's a jump ring. You just open them and close them. That's really all you're going to do with them. Now these are really big, and so I can actually open it with my fingers. And I got these babies. Like I said, it's Mardi Gras. So I got these little babies. If you're from Louisiana, like I am, you eat a lot of king cake and you get these little babies in them. So I turn them into little dangly things. So I might want to make this into an earring. Okay. And so that's how you would make something dangle. Or I can put that on a bracelet. Looky there. A Mardi Gras bracelet sitting right here. So you would just open up that jump ring, slide that in, close the jump ring, and then now you've got a little dangly thing. Okay, so that's a jump ring. Once you know what they are and you start looking around, you'll see them all over the place. They're on every necklace, a lot of earrings, so they're out there. So jump rings, they come in different sizes. So these are some of the larger sizes. I don't like those when I'm making jewelry. Here's the size I use. So this is not a marked container, but this is probably a 4mm or maybe even a 5mm jump ring. And the more you work with them, the more you will become familiar with what these terms mean. So, and here's some even tinier ones. These are probably 4mm. Those were a little bit bigger. Those could have even been 6s. So, and they kind of get stuck together and you have to kind of pull them apart sometimes. I don't know why that's not opening. There you go. Look how tiny that is. Okay? The tinier ones kind of blend in a lot better with your jewelry piece and they don't stick out and are so noticeable. So I like the smaller ones when I'm making something. Okay, up next, we're going to talk about eye pins. These are examples of eye pins. I can't even pick that up. I need my tweezers. That's another thing I do with tweezers is pick things up off the table. All right. So an eye pin has a loop or a circle at the top and then a straight piece. Again, back to my little babies. So unfortunately on the baby's bottom, that's the end. This is a head pin on the bottom, and then I made the loop on the top of this to get it so that it would dangle like that. Okay. Sometimes when I make a necklace, I want it to have a loop on both the top and the bottom, depending on if I'm going to hook it to something else. If I'm going to hook multiple things together, I'm going to make a link necklace, for example, then I would have several loops all together. Okay, so this is the eye pin, and these are called head pins. And they're slightly different, so if they look the same to you right now, don't worry. Over time you will become more familiar with these. These come in gold and silver. Again, on camera, I'm not sure you can really tell the difference between the gold and the silver. This one's silver, this one's gold. And they're just straight. This is a pretty average size. These are 2-inch. And I no longer buy head pins. I only buy eye pins, and if I need to, I will. If I need an eye pin, I will cut the head off and then make it an eye pin. So I will show you that really quick. So I'm going to use my flush cutters, all right, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find where that head of that pin is, okay, and I'm going to cut that off. And there's that's what I cut off. You can barely even see it, just a little teeny piece of metal. then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm not going to exactly show you how to do this right now. I'm just giving you an example of what you can do later. So I'll make another video where I teach you how to make head pins, but I just want to show you how fast and easy this is down the road for you to learn how to do this yourself. So I just rolled that down, and now I put my thumb back here and I pop that out. And now I've got a head pin. Nope, an eye pin. Sorry. Eye pin. So there you go. So that's how you create your own. And they're really fast and easy to make. So I don't buy them anymore because they're so easy to make. And then I only have to buy these head pins. Now head pins I haven't figured out how to make. They have this little teeny flat surface on them, and I can't figure out how to make that. So I've seen people who create tiny loops at the end, but to get that flat, you really have to buy that. Okay, and maybe if I learned how to solder and have a torch and things like that, I would know how to do that, but that's a bit beyond what I want to do. So that's head pins and eye pins. The next thing that you're going to need is you're going to need some clasps, and this is how you close a piece of chain or a piece of stringing material. And I like this kind. These are called lobster claws. I don't know if that looks like a lobster to you, but, and again, you've probably seen these. You just didn't know what they were called. So I like the lobster claws. You can get this other kind called a spring ring. And this is what I remember from jewelry when I was a little kid. I don't know if you can see that very good. I better open that. I'll open this package so you can see that. Okay. And they come with the little eyelet thing that goes on the other side. Okay. Package of those, $3. Lobster claws are a little bit more expensive, so you probably get more of these in a package than you will these, but I prefer these. And that's just my personal preference. So whatever you want to do is just fine. All right, and then on the other side of this lobster claw, you would use a jump ring. And you can see how big this jump ring is. You would not want to use that jump ring with this. And that's that misshapen one, and I should throw that away. So you use a jump ring in combination with this. You actually use two, so you put one here at the bottom, and then you put one on the other side of your chain. And I use these a lot because I make a lot of chain necklaces. I prefer chain necklaces to other types of stringing material, which is our next topic. So let's talk about stringing materials. I do a lot of elastic bracelets. So here's a couple of my Mardi Gras bracelets that I've just been working on. Take that jump ring off because that jump ring doesn't go in there. Okay, so here's my Mardi Gras. Here's my Mardi Gras bracelets, and they're just stretch bracelets. Nothing too fancy, but this is what I use. Stretch Magic, and I've heard a lot of people say bad things about it online, but it's what I've always used, and it's always been fine for me. It does come in different sizes, so if you want to use tiny beads like you see here, these are called seed beads. If you want to use seed beads and other small beads, then you're going to want to get this 0.7 millimeter. If you're going to use bigger beads, like this, and I'll show you these holes. The hole in this is a little bit bigger, and then I use a thicker Stretch Magic, and nope, it's not that one. Oh goodness, sorry, I should have done this before I started. I thought my stuff was just sitting right here. Okay, well, I can't find it, but instead of being a 0.7, it's going to be a 1, 1.0. I can't believe I can't find it. I know I have a whole spool of it because I just got it. Yeah, can't find it. Okay. So it does come in 2 sizes. So 0.7 and 1. 1 millimeter. Bugging me so bad. All right. So that's elastic. The other thing that you can use is called bead stringing wire. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay, and how you use this is you put your beads on, and then you make a little end like this, and you use a little crimp bead or tube to hold everything on there. Okay. This to me is a little more advanced. I like to stick to the chain necklaces. They're faster to work up and a little bit easier for me personally. I've got an example right up here. It's going to show you what I mean about a chain necklace. So here's the necklace, and it's mostly chain, right? I've got the chain here. I've got the little sections that I made with eye pins. Can you see that? It's like that blue. Let me move this. There we go. So I don't have to string, so that's why it's faster, right? I just have to create these little elements. These were things I bought. Create these little elements, chain, and then here's my clasp. It's a lobster claw clasp. There you go. Okay. All right, so let's review. We did jump rings, we did head pins, we did eye pins, we did clasps, we talked about elastic, and then we talked about the stringing. See, I always forget what it's called. Stringing wire, stringing this stuff. Bead stringing wire, okay? Beadalon, supposedly this is one of the better ones. And it tells you on it what size crimp tubes you need. I think this is a little more advanced, so I wouldn't jump right into this right away. I would practice with the chain, doing the chain elements first, and then move into the full-on beading. Okay, one other thing that you can buy that I highly recommend, and I use a ton of, is this wire. So this is Beadalon German style wire, and it comes in silver, gold, copper. There might be other metals out there too. You can sometimes find it in colored wire. So now you're probably wondering, what the heck do you do with this? Well, let me show you. So first of all, I made this ring with gold German wire. So you can do some cool things with that. You can also make your eye pins with that wire. All right, so here's an example. Now this is one I made. Here's a little thicker. It comes in different thicknesses. So here's a little thicker wire. That's bent, that's bugging me. Okay, this is 16 gauge wire, and it comes on a spool like this, and I wrote the 16 on there. And I'm almost out. This is my gold. And you can also buy it on these smaller spools, and again, it comes in different thicknesses or gauge. So this is 24 gauge. This is 24 gauge. And this one's 22 gauge. When you're making head pins and eye pins, you want to use the 20 gauge. This, the higher the number, the smaller the wire actually is. So 24 gauge is a tinier wire than the 22 or the 20. So I like to use 20 gauge for my head pins. Okay, and this is what the top of it will look like. Okay, and it's round. So it has this little symbol right here. Where's my pointer? It has the little symbol here telling you that it's round, that it's medium temper, and it's 20 gauge. And this was the gold color. Okay, German style wire. All right, so I have a bigger piece of this German style wire that I cut earlier. So it's a little bit rounded when it comes off your spool. So you do have to kind of straighten it a little bit. And I think I showed you these earlier in a different video. We talked about straightening your wire. So you can straighten it. There you go. You see that? That's a little bit straighter. So you can make your own eye pins with this. And what I like about this is you can make a much longer section with this than you can with your standard eye pin. You can see quite a bit of difference there. Okay? All right, the last thing I want to talk about then is buying chain. And there are so many different kinds of chain out there. So this is a piece of my gunmetal chain. And this is some old thing, I don't know, an old necklace, and I took it all apart. So you can see these two different kinds of chains. So you're going to look for some chain that's open so that you can open the links. So these links are really easy to open. I don't want to open it there. Let me open it back here. So, and this metal is pretty easy. I just did that with my fingers. So you want to be able to open those links so that you can shorten your wire or shorten your chain and do whatever you want. Like the example I showed you, this one, you need to be able to get jump rings in there. If you use a really tight, fine chain, you're not going to be able to get your jump rings in there, and that's not going to work out for you. Okay? So you want to be able to get your wire, I keep saying wire, your chain, so that you can hook it together and create a necklace. Okay? All right. Well, that's it for the supplies. If you have any questions, you can leave me a comment, and I will also post a link to my webpage, which is bobbysboutique.com, and Bobby is spelled B-O-B-I-E. So it's a little bit different, I know. Blame my mom. She's the one who named me. All right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.